Hello, members. This is Tom Morrison from the Metal Treating Institute right here from our corporate offices in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm excited to have with us today John Hatch Borneman. John, say hi to everybody.
Hey, good afternoon and good morning to everybody.
So, hey, all I can say about the last month is the word wow. We just got finishes with Furnaces North America, the largest trade show in our history with over 1,700 attendees. We had 170 plus exhibitors, top suppliers from equipment, accessories, sensors, probes, you name it. They were there, as well as 35 technical sessions with 10 tracks. Most of the rooms were packed out with people watching the sessions, learning all about heat treat and the future trends. So just a very exciting time. Another thing that was happening was the latest NADCAP meeting took place in Pittsburgh. We probably had 40 plus members there at our cocktail party. And it was just a great time. MTI is really weighing in on the issues in the aerospace industry with NADCAP. So had a lot of good members that came to that and talked out the issues that are concerning them. The other thing that we have coming up in November is the AMEC committee meeting. A lot of people go, where do these aerospace standards come from? And I'm telling you, they come from people just like you. I sit around the table with 35 engineers and material science people, and I'm sure a lot of y'all going, how do you do that, Tom? But it is fun to watch these engineers and these metallurgists and material science guys and ladies really go at it over these specs. And half the room in the AMEC committee is representative of MTI members, commercial heat treaters and suppliers. So just want you to know that MTI is deep in the heart of making sure these aerospace standards are reasonable and not overburdensome. And I know 2759, they're about to re-release all the specs. And I know in the first quarter of 2019, MTI is going to be doing a quality seminar, probably in Dallas or St. Louis in the central part of the U.S., where all quality managers can come to and learn about all you need to know about complying with 2759. So stay on the lookout for that. And the last thing I'll say is at the final night of Furnaces North America, MTI's final night dinner, where we graduated 32 students in the YES program and gave away awards in the leadership and services area. Mary Springer, the chair of the MTI Foundation, announced that we gave away $35,000 to 5 students, 4 $5,000 contributions or awards, and one $15,000 called the Founders Scholarship. So we gave away $35,000. And what most people don't know is MTI did a matching fund out of the F&A proceeds from the show. And we've already raised probably going to raise at the end of the day, about $100,000 for the foundation for 2019 to do even more for scholarships. So just a lot of exciting stuff going with MTI, really trying to impact your bottom line, your people, and your productivity, which is what we're all about. But today, John, Mr. Call Sign Hatch, we are here to talk about the YES program, as well as how do you build high-performing teams. Now, Hatch, we have been around since 2011, I think, with the core group. We graduated probably 240 students. What's been important for you in watching the development of these people coming through in the partnership with MTI for the YES program?
Well, the partnership's been outstanding. What's been important is that we've established a standard program every year. We're able to bring in the future leaders of the many companies that are represented in MTI, and the leadership of those companies are making an investment in their future, right? So they really understand the need to do it, and then we're able to come in and partner with you and the rest of the members to deliver a program that's worth their investment, so that somebody who's graduating from the class goes back and can start to have an immediate impact on the company's bottom line, and ideally position themselves to be ready for the future.
Well, what I love about how y'all track the program, the flow, is session 1 is all about building high-performing teams. How do you do that? Session 2 is how do you develop a leadership style that can maximize that? And session 3, where we bring in Dr. Marks to talk about business intelligence of understanding the people's psyche to get them to do that. And then I love how y'all in session 4 have a ton of interactive stuff to help them apply everything they've learned. So just what would you say about the 2018 class after 4 sessions with them?
Much like the previous classes, you have a mix of people from folks that are kind of new in developing their leadership skills, and then you have folks that are further down the road, but really never had a chance to participate in a structured program. And, folks generally come into the first session a little unclear as to what they're about to go through. And by the time we're done with the first session, the light bulbs start really coming on, and they're like, wow, this is going to be a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And
what I find is most people, when I get to them after night 1, they go, you know what? I was totally shocked because I thought coming into here I was going to learn how to do heat treat 101 and 201. And they figured out that this ain't got nothing to do with technical stuff. And they thought I was coming, some say I thought I was coming to another rah-rah session to try and get me pumped up. And it was so far beyond that. So I've even had one member say they've been through a number of high degree management programs, and they look at the YES program. It's kind of a master's degree in organizational management strategy and how to implement it all to where you're doing it with excellence. So hats off to you guys for bringing a program. So let's dive in a little bit. Well, the last thing I want to say is what's really cool about the YES program is we have people from 22 to 72, from furnace operators to presidents. It covers the whole gambit of people. And that's why I try and help people when they're looking at it. Don't ever think you're not qualified for it, because everyone, even if you're a president of the company, you can learn something that can take your team to a higher level. So really good stuff. So let's dive into what we're here to talk about. So let's start with building high performing teams. I know y'all think y'all have 4 pillars that you really preach about. These are the key things that you need to build a high performing team. So people that are watching, what should they take away from this in terms of, I want to really take my high performing, I can't make YES, but I do want to impact starting next Monday on building a high performing team. What should they really start paying attention to and doing?
Well, first the team's got to know where they're going, right? We got to understand, and this is the most important thing. The team has got to understand what the mission of the team is. Where are we going as a team? That we're going to increase the value of the company, or we're going to increase the value of some element of what we do.
Right.
That got to get that part figured out. And then within the team, every member of the team has got to be willing to work together, right? There's got to be a willingness to work together, cooperate. There'll be days when, if you and I are on a team, I might not want to do it the way Tom wants to do it. But you know what? That's the way we decided to do it.
Right.
So I'm going to get behind Tom. I'm going to get behind my teammate, and I'm going to do the best I can. Even though it, again, may not be the way I would do it, doesn't matter. We made a decision. And, that's part of the third part then, right? That we have a structure in place and we have the discipline to follow our structure. We've got rules that define us. We have methodologies that we use on a consistent basis, and we have the discipline to do it the way we said we were going to do it. And then finally, it's that willingness to learn and adapt, right? That I'm never great. I'm looking every day for a way to improve my game. And, it's that idea that I'm not perfect today and I'm going to try to be better tomorrow, and taking that time. We talk to everybody about running debriefs.
Right.
We do it in a core group religiously. But that's really it, right? So it's got to know the mission, got to be willing to work together, got to have the discipline to stick to your structures, and we got to be able to learn and adapt. So
let's break that down. There's a lot to unpack there. So goals. Setting goals or a mission is sometimes the hardest thing to do. So I'm just just so everybody online knows, the core group has worked with a lot of MTI members. They really understand what you're talking about when you talk about furnaces and flow and throughput and stuff. They really understand the process of a plant. They've worked with, I know, Weirco, Palo, they've worked with Blue Water, they've worked with several MTI plants. They really get your story and what's going on. So in that plant, when a person is sitting as a team leader, what's kind of the process they should go to set the goal? What's the mindset they should have in just getting out that first shoot of setting a goal that everybody runs to?
Well, so first thing is we got to understand what the company goal is, right? Then based on that, we can orient everybody, hey, within our work cell or within our part of the organization, this is how we contribute to that, and here's the way we'll measure our success. So this is our goal. This is the way we do it. There's either a financial impact or a productivity impact or an efficiency impact or a safety impact, right? A lot of times safety is a big deal. It should be a big deal.
Yes.
And so we orient a set of outcomes that support the overall corporate strategy and make sure everybody understands how we're going to measure it. And then from there, roles and responsibilities to make it happen.
So I know executing is probably the easiest of all the pillars to run with, because it's a checklist. You do what you see on the checklist, so you do what you were told. But every now and then you have people who want to venture off the exit or run on a tangent and go down a rabbit trail. Because like you said, they think, well, I think I got a little bit better way. How do managers handle people that want to steer from the protocols that you've agreed to as a team and keep them running the same direction?
Well, I mean, First, we should pick up the deviation in our debriefs. And when we pick up the deviation in our debriefs, we need to confront it right there and try to understand what the person was thinking that led them to the deviation, and then get them to realize, hey, there's many ways that we can do it, but this is a way that we chose to do it. And we're going to get the best productivity and efficiency by doing it this way. And so I need you to follow through on that. And
go ahead.
And you're essentially putting them on notice. Now, the first time it could just be a mistake.
Right.
But we're putting them on notice that this is the way we do things around here. And we need you to get on board with that.
So buy-in by your team. I know that's a huge thing. That helps people get over the I want to run down a tangent. So talk a little bit about in the planning process of setting goals and stuff. How do you feel you can get, whether it's surveying and getting teams input before you give your input, but how does a manager get buy-in from his team for any initiative?
Right. So like we talked about, when we start orienting on what is the mission of the team, what's the outcome that we're trying to generate, this is where we use the concept of open planning, where I'm not going to just come up with where we're going as the team leader. I'm going to get everybody on my team. We're going to sit down, most likely in a room, and we're going to go, okay, if we together, the 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, if we together are wildly successful over the next year in support of our company's strategic goals, what will that look like, right? We run this part of the business. We run that part of the business. So if we run our part of the business really well, what's that going to look like? And we're going to build it together. Now, I may have some additional insights or knowledge that some of the other folks on my team may not have. I'm going to bring it into the conversation.
Right.
We're generating buy-in by including all the folks that are going to be key decision makers in the achievement of our stated outcomes. We're bringing them into the conversation. Right. Because the beauty of that is that a year from now, either we're going to have a wild party or we're not going to have anybody else to look at.
Right.
Because it's ours. It's our baby.
Right.
And it's our baby because we designed it. And, if we're committed to it, we'll make good things happen.
So obviously in doing team meetings and open planning, the smaller the group, the more input people are more than willing to give. So if you got a team of 15 people, probably 3 to 4 will probably drive the conversation. What I really love about what y'all do in the YES program, and people on here to really take advantage of, I'd like you to speak to it, is break your teams. If you've got a team of 15, break them into 5 teams of 3. When you say break them down to 5 teams of 3 and say each of you discuss the issue, then you come back and have each of them report out what the conversation was. And then as a group, you can agree to what are the top priorities in this mission that we would like to take place. Would you say breaking down into smaller teams for really good in-depth conversations good?
Yeah, I think, you basically get 2 groups of people. You have people that think out loud, and they will tend to dominate a conversation. And then you have people that are thinking inside, and they may be a little quieter. It doesn't mean that they're not as energized or excited about it. It's just different communication styles. So when you break people down into smaller groups, people can't get lost.
Right.
And we can pull each other, we can query each other. Hey, Hatch, what do you think? Hey, Cruiser, what do you think? And in that smaller conversation, we're probably going to get some really good ideas. And that's going to allow us to bring all those ideas back into the major group or the main group. And we'll probably be better for it. We do it. I mean, we've got 2 clients we're rolling out strategic plans with right now. We had a group of 60 a couple of weeks ago, broke them down into teams of 5 to 6, and the output was outstanding.
So I think that's awesome. So now let's move into working with a lot of our members. Oh, I know what I was going to say, because the last thing I want to close out on, because one of the most frustrating things to me when leading any groups like that or being a part of a group is when the quiet bunch walks out after it and says under their breath to somebody, I wouldn't have done it that way. And so I think that's important for everybody listening on this, is that you want to give everybody a comfortable opportunity to where they will share everything they're thinking, so that you get complete buy-in from your entire team. Because that's very frustrating when half the group is feeling that way, but they weren't willing to lean into the conversation because that's not their style.
That's right. And that's why we do it. That's why we do it that way. because the biggest thing is you're trying to create that buy-in.
Right.
You're trying to buy-in and its belief that this is going to work.
Right.
And if we've given people a venue and an opportunity, a sincere opportunity to contribute, then negative phrases or negative commentary outside of the session, it's almost unacceptable.
Right.
Because you had a chance.
Exactly. An open chance.
We went out of our way to give everybody a chance. Doesn't mean everybody gets their way, but at least you understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Right.
And then that plays back to that one pillar we talked about. Hey, it's a willingness to work together and cooperate to make something really good happen.
Right. So let's talk about the plant operations, what you've seen, being in those things you've heard at the YES programs. When you look at high-performing teams and you look at where a lot of people are functioning, what is the most common gaps you see that general managers in general or operations in general are suffering from inside their operations that keep them from being that high-performing team? What's the big drag?
I think, it's that a lot of people are completely focused on what's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we're in the day-to-day firefighting, and sometimes we're doing things just because that's the way that we've always done it, as opposed to, the real solid leaders are the ones that realize, hey, where are we going? Right?
Right.
Why are we doing what we're doing today? Right? And is what we're doing today going to get us where we want to be, let's say 3 to 5 years from now?
Right.
So I think the big opportunity for many is to be very clear on, hey, if our company or our team is in great shape 3 to 5 years from now, what's that look like? Because then that's really going to help with the day-to-day firefighting in terms of what's important, and maybe we don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
And then, the other part is with that context of where we're trying to go, I think the other opportunity is now it really helps me in, okay, so what does that mean for the workforce that I have to develop in terms of our capabilities and the things that really matter? What does that mean in terms of our next generation of leaders? What are they going to have to be able to do? And how do we evolve the company, right?
Right.
There's all kinds of things. You mentioned aerospace, right? There's all kinds of things going on in aerospace that's playing right into certain heat treating capabilities.
Right.
Some companies in MTI are going to jump on that, and some companies may miss it, right? So the markets are evolving. Are we paying attention to the markets so that we're really positioning our company to be in the right place 3 to 5 years from now with the talent and leadership that new market will demand?
So I read an article on an airplane about a company trying to develop imagine flying in an airplane where you could see everything outside. Now, I don't know if that's metal or plexiglass or plastic, whatever, but you would be able to see everything you're flying through the walls, the cavern there, let's say, the tube. And that kind of freaks me out. But, what kind of, you're exactly right that some of the things in aerospace are playing to positive and negative forces that's going to have impact. So let's talk about, so we've got the weaknesses. Now let's talk about the leadership style. So you got to have leaders that can really push forward these high-performing teams. What are some of the key leadership things that you feel people need to have in their organization to carry these teams?
Well, I'm going to probably sound a little bit like a broken drum here, but, the leaders got to set, whether it's, you want to call it the vision, we want to call it the future picture, but the leaders really have to establish where we want to go.
Right.
And then most importantly, because they've done their homework and they believe it, they've got to stick to it, right? They're the ones that they put the plan in place, they put the structure in place, and then everybody's watching them.
Right.
They're watching them to go, okay, is he really serious about this? Or is she really serious about this? And then it's, the way I measure the success of, the various opportunities that we get is, where are we in 6 months?
Right.
Because in 6 months, we will either have really kind of gone back to the way we were, or the company will actually, no kidding, be on a new path.
Right.
And it's going to be because of the leaders. It's going to be because of the the example that they are setting, and it's going to be because the way that they're engaging their people all the time, right? It's the Marine Corps, we called it leadership by walking around, right? You can't lead sitting behind a desk. You got to get up, out from behind your desk, get out, talk to people, see what's going on, and connect them to where you say you want to go.
Right.
That you get those pieces together, you'll have an energized workforce. You'll have people that are making smart decisions by themselves. Right? They're not going to wait to be told what to do. They know what to do.
Right.
And then, I mean, really, if you got it right, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be standing around going, everybody's doing everything I need them to do. What do I do?
Right.
and you're going to have that because you did it. You did it the right way. That's how you measure the success. Well,
there's so many people that think that their self-worth of the company is what I do with these, not what I do with these. And I would encourage everybody listening to really be have information awareness. There's so much stuff. You talked about change. I think it's important that a key thing to a leader for me is having the ability to see change happening before it happens. And when you look at right now, the impact, back in 1903, when the car was built, I mean, I always tell the story about 1902, you were the largest horse and buggy dealer in 1902. And one day you're brushing your horse and cleaning your wheels, and all of a sudden you see this Model T come by and you're like, what the heck was that? Now, the beauty there is he had 10 years, because it was 10 years before the Maverick Henry Ford mass-produced cars. He had 10 years to figure out, what am I going to do next? Today, the numbers show that Airbnb, a lot of people stay in Airbnb. Airbnb had 103 million stays in 2012. In 2017, they had 100 million stays. It moved that fast. The hospitality industry and the hotel industry is just going crazy over that. And you look at Uber, who was the big one on disruption. Just 3 years ago, they had 3 million Uber rides annually worldwide. This past year, they had over 2 billion rides worldwide. So they are turning transportation upside down. But those are going to have significant shifts in people who are heat treating for automotive, for aerospace, impact. So I agree that leaders have to really be tuned into the information, the impact that's having around them, and communicate that in a way to their employees that they're managing so they can really be on guard to want to make this a better thing. So what else should leaders know about moving into these high-performing teams? What are some other things they should be thinking through?
Well, I think the other element is like we touched on, right? Really focused on helping the organization learn to go faster, right? Taking what we learn day in and day out. We talk to people all the time. They're like, when do we debrief, Hatch? What should we be debriefing against? The beauty of debriefing is I'll learn something about my organization faster by taking the time to debrief than if I just wait for something really big or bad to happen.
Right.
So the debrief is going to help me catch small deviations early, and it's also going to help me pick up on new trends earlier, right? So now with that information, I can make better informed decisions, both about my people and about the things that we're doing inside our company on behalf of our customers. So, I think that's really, a fundamental piece of what we're trying to do. If we're just, we plan, we execute, we plan, we execute, we plan, we execute, I think you got to go, wait a second. I got to take time, and I got to make sure I understand why we're getting the results we're getting.
Right.
So if we're doing that, right, and as leaders, like I said earlier, we're setting the example, right? When I run a debrief, the first stop in the debrief is, how did Hatch do?
Right.
And I assess my performance, and then I look for Cruiser's feedback or Twitch's feedback or Mojo's feedback. I'm looking for that. And then we can go on and we can talk about the rest of it. So, my personal example is a big deal. And that's important for any team, that the leader holds himself or holds herself accountable for the pieces they own. Right.
Well, I think being able to sit down at a table and have that conversation with your cohorts in the office and be open and transparent about what you didn't do right kind of has to have a relationship with each other in order for it to be the best. And one of the things I want to use as a simple example for everybody on this call to say, how do we build that relationship? I love the first session where y'all get everybody to stand up and tell a 2-minute funny story and give themselves a call sign or nickname to be known as the rest of the program. I have heard everybody say that is that was the easiest icebreaker that broke things down and broke the barriers, and everybody became niched at that very point because they connected with the stories. So everybody on this call, Hatch, if you could just kind of maybe share a little bit about that and the importance of that, because I'd encourage everybody on the list watching here, when you do your next team meeting, have that happen. Give everybody 2 minutes to tell a funny story about themselves, and everybody on your team should have a nickname that they're known about that could draw people close. So tell about the impact of that.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's a great icebreaker. It helps. I think the biggest thing it helps is it humanizes everybody in the room. And I know that's
exactly.
a big, right? So everybody's telling a funny story. Most of the stories are, maybe a tiny bit embarrassing if the person, right? If the person's willing to put themselves out there, especially with a whole bunch of people they don't know. But we've seen it in the class. I mean, there's a couple stories where Cruiser and I are like, oh, wow.
I like, did he just say that?
Yeah, did he just say that? Right?
But they're great.
But they did that, right? And they took a chance, and everybody does it. Everybody takes their time in the deep end, and they share their idea. And I'll tell you what, by the time you go walking out of there, there's a lot of people, they only know each other by their call sign.
Yeah.
I mean, if you said, hey, I need to call Bob or Joe, or everybody will look at you like, well, who the heck is Bob or Joe? Well, no, I need to call Plow Horse, or I need to call, right? I need to call Beast. Well, everybody knows who you're talking about.
It gives them camaraderie, some high fives around the way. Now, Anthony Pugh, one of our great members from Texas Heat Treat out in Round Rock, Texas, has asked, how frequently should you debrief? And I think about, is it per project or on a monthly basis? How often should people be debriefing?
Well, I think we should run a quick debrief at the end of every shift. And what am I talking about there? I'm not talking about an hour. I'm talking about 10 to 15 minutes. First off, do we have any safety violations today, or any type of small mishaps? Ideally, all the safety things are small mishaps.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, there's no mishaps. But first, we got to talk about safety, especially if we say safety's first. Then we got to talk about, did we hit our productivity targets, and any key learnings from that day. I can do that in 10 to 15 minutes. We used to do it every time I ran the maintenance department of an F-18 squadron. At the end of every shift, we sat down real fast. We went through what we did, what we got to fix, and then we moved on for the rest of the day. Next shift came in. They got the learnings from the previous shift, and off we went. The end of the week, there are key things that we can measure on a weekly basis. We need to understand what they are that tell us our performance, and off we go. So, the day, the week, the month, I think it's really what are the elements that fit into that framework. And I don't, I look at, what would I look at on a month? Did we meet our business plan objectives for the month, right? You gotta make plan. I tell that to every client. If you put together a business plan, you gotta make plan every month. That's the definition of a well-managed company.
Right.
So if we run our debrief, either we made plan or we didn't, and we figure it out. So those are ongoing debriefs. If you're bringing a new furnace online, or you're bringing a new capability online, or you have a new facility, right? We're going to debrief that on a regular basis.
Right.
Everybody just went to the trade show in Indianapolis, right? So if I took 4 or 5 people to that trade show, ideally I should have had a couple of objectives of what I wanted to achieve at the trade show, aside from walking around and, having a couple of beers with friends of mine. Right? Why did you go? Why'd you go to the trade show?
Right.
And so when we're done with the trade show, because we paid money to go, what did we get out of it? Did we achieve the objectives we wanted to achieve? What did we learn?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I've been on a couple of debriefs that, because folks are talking to each other and they got different insights from different people on their follow-on calls, they talked about industry market type stuff that they learned about during their time at the trade show in Indianapolis, right? That's a big deal.
Right.
So, hopefully that answers the question. Again, some are, you just establish a cadence on when you want to do it. again, daily, weekly, monthly. Some are event-based. So a trade show is event-based.
Right. So I think too, we had a great speaker in 2014 he was from the Space Shuttle Atlantis, and he was an astronaut, and he talked about the deviance from normalcy. And it was a great talk. If you're debriefing over periods of time, and let's say you're debriefing safety, let's say you had an explosion in your furnace. Well, I'll bet you for the next 6 months, you're checking all 20 things on the checklist like nothing. I mean, you're checking it like it's your life dependent on it. But as you begin to get longer and longer away from the event, you then, instead of checking all 20 items, 10 of them look good, you start checking the serious ones. You feel seriouser the 10. So I mentioned that to say to the group, when you're debriefing over time, take every single check mark serious and don't let the deviance from normal, because just because you haven't had an accident for a year doesn't mean you won't have an accident on the year and day one. So I think that's a big thing, is people get lax in their attitude when they're debriefing on an ongoing basis, because they just think because we haven't had an accident, everything is fine. So now let's talk about what was your experience at the trade show, Hatch? I mean, I know you were there a couple of days and with Yes and the dinner and stuff.
Oh, I mean, that trade show is outstanding. And, a couple of things jump out. One, in the fourth Yes session, that's when we do the leadership development plans.
Right.
And it's just, that's when you really see the light bulbs coming on for everybody, and people come back in and they have a plan for themselves.
Right.
And that's exciting, because many of the folks that have come through the course, they never had one of those. They never really had a deliberate plan. Hey, here's where I want to be professionally a year from now. And, everybody in the course came in with their plan. And as best I could tell, everybody was energized around their plan. They spoke about their plan with passion, and I thought that was outstanding. So I love that part. The other part, the big kind of cool thing, was at the Yes graduation and post the leadership awards, was seeing the various Yes graduates from years past hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw a guy from Palo hanging out with a guy from Wirco, and I didn't even realize that they had been in the same class, because I haven't been to all the courses like Cruiser. But the simple fact that they're hanging out, they're talking to each other, and then you look around the room and they're all doing it.
Right.
Like, all these old classmates are connecting and reconnecting and shooting the breeze and telling funny stories. I mean, that really jumped out to me as, something that I think it makes for I don't know if tighter is the right word, but just a better membership experience.
Sure, exactly.
I know other people that are out there, and so if I have a challenge, I can give them a call.
Right.
Whereas if you haven't gone through the class and you really don't have many, friends in the association, well, you're not going to benefit from that.
Right. Right. So you mentioned the life development plan. I think that's a good segue to go into. So wouldn't you say that leaders that know their why and know where they're going are much more productive and better leaders over the long haul?
It gives them a purpose, right? I mean, they have a destination they're trying to work toward every day. And when the day gets long and they're tired and maybe they're pissed off, they can remind themselves about, hey, you know what? I said this is where I wanted to be, and I know there's going to be tough days.
Right.
I just got to dig down, and I got to go get it. And the other benefit is, if they've shared that with their boss or they've shared it with their significant other, those folks can help them stay motivated.
Right.
Remind them that, hey, this is where you said you wanted to go. And I think that's a big deal. Otherwise, we're just kind of bobbing along.
Right.
And we're just going to let this, as we talk about things in the context of a system, we're just going to let the system decide where we end up.
Right.
And you could argue that's dangerous, right? So I think if we have folks that are out there, they're taking, as we talked about, their leadership development plan, I think they're a step ahead. And I think a year or two from now, when they've really followed through on that plan, professionally, technically, they're going to be better.
Right.
and being better means that they're more competitive for promotions, and they're simply more competitive out in the job market.
So talk about the life. Can you quickly we got about 10 minutes. So could you break down for anybody on here saying, I want to do that life development plan process. Can you break that down? I know y'all have a nice PowerPoint slide that allows the YES students to kind of put their life development plan together. Could you kind of break that out in a short stint as what would somebody want to be looking at if they're looking at their own life development plan?
Well, I think, there's key elements in there. There's key elements of, what do I want to be more proficient at, right? What do I want to be better at than I am now? And so you're kind of doing a self-assessment and going, I need to be a better speaker. I need to be better at organizing in terms of planning and things of that nature. So there's working on the things that technically and professionally you're going to be better at. Then there are other elements of awareness. Hey, what are things that I need to be in tune with as far as what's going on in the market, what's going on, in the world that my family lives in? And so folks look at things, they just want to expand their horizons of knowledge is really the best way to describe that, right?
Right.
Then there's their network, right? So, who should I be connecting with? Who should I be reaching out to? Mentors, other leaders, other classmates from YES, just so I've got a broader associate base, friendship base, so that when I get stuck or I've got some ideas, I'm trying to figure something out, I've got some people I can go to.
Right.
So there's that. And then there's that element of reputation and personal brand that, we try to emphasize with everybody. The buzzword today is professional brand. To me, it's always just good old fashioned. What's your reputation?
Right. And, who are you?
Who are you? What do you want your reputation to be? When they think of Tom Morrison, what do they think? When they think of Hatch Borneman, what do they think? Right. So, you're basically articulating a set of goals in those lanes. And then from there, there's an action plan that supports your ability to achieve those things. Some of that's through reading. Some of that's through taking online classes, going to a local college if it's available. For a lot of the folks that came through YES 4, we talked about joining Toastmasters. Go join Toastmasters so that when you stand up as a leader, you can convey a sense of confidence and you can speak well and people get it.
Right.
So, getting those action plans together and working through them, I think is really, a year from now, you're better than you are today. What's that going to look like?
Right. So real quick, just to kind of summarize a few things. So for me, the key takeaways everybody could write down from this session, if I could recap, and then you tell me if there's any missing blanks. But if you want to take away and do a couple things to improve your operations, you definitely got to set the goal for your department, set the goal for your division, set the goal for your team so they know where they're running. Involve all of them in getting that process started to get the plan together. And then when you're executing that plan, debrief as often as you feel necessary to learn the lessons so that you can minimize mistakes, because that's what kills an operation of manufacturing is mistakes that happen over and over and over. So would you say that if they did nothing in the next year but those three things, would you say goal setting, involve everyone to get a good plan together that's agreed and bought in, and then debrief it over and over and over, making shifts when you deem necessary from lessons learned? Would you say those are the three big takeaways from the thing?
Yeah, I think that, and I think the other piece is your personal example is critical.
Right.
Because everybody watches you. So if you say it's important, then they need to see you supporting important. If you say this is the way we behave, then we need to see you behaving that way. I mean, that's a big deal, right? If we say one thing and we do another, they're going to figure it out. And
I've heard once before that your employees don't do what you tell them to do; they go where you go.
That's right. And I think that's accurate, right?
So Anthony asked about Toastmasters real quick. So I know you've been involved with that before. Share a little bit about what Toastmasters is for anybody wanting to take a look at it.
So Toastmasters are groups in your local community. You can Google it. And basically, it's a group that gets together there's generally a main leader who's an established speaker.
Right.
And their goal is to help anybody who comes to participate in being a better public speaker, being able to get up in front of a room, and whether it's 10 people or it's 100 people or 1,000 people, that you can speak confidently, you feel good about it, and they help you with the various techniques, the tools that'll help you do well. Right?
I've had a friend go through it, and he says when you're doing your speeches, they have a deal where there's a ringer out there hitting a bell, and every time you say the word they get a ringer, because he said I was known as King Ring all the time.
Oh, I mean, it's, one of the gals on our team, you refer to those things as word whiskers.
Right.
And every time you say or or right, or somebody who stands in the front of the room and they sway back and forth,
right,
or they have their hands in their pockets. We got after the guys and gals in the fourth session about having their hands in their pockets.
Right.
It just, it just doesn't look good.
It kind of says you're uninterested to be here.
Yeah, well, but for a lot of folks, it's the first time they had to do it.
But you know what? Remembering Ricky Bobby, what I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. And I think a lot of people go through that for sure.
Yeah. So it's a group. I think everyone would benefit from it. In the Marine Corps, we were lucky. We had to brief missions every day. So you got plenty of debriefing feedback about your presentation style, and it generally made us pretty good presenters in the Marine Corps.
So real quick, as someone who's debriefed a ton as a leader, a lot of people in here are probably thinking, well, how do I go about shedding my transparency right off the bat? So how would you as a leader encourage people to be the number one person that says, you know what, we said we wanted this and we didn't get there, and I'm going to start saying some of it was because of me, and this is why. So how does a leader go through that, being the leader and even debriefing?
So you think about it this way. It's the mirror and the window. So the first thing I do is look at myself in the mirror. And so let's take any outcome. We missed a shipment. We were late with something that didn't go the way we needed it to. What part of you as the leader of that team do you own? How did you contribute personally to us missing the target?
Right.
Because if you sit there and go, well, I had nothing to do with it. Well, okay, so you're telling me that everybody else on the team was messed up, but you were good.
Right.
That's not possible, right? So somewhere in there, either in the way that you are tolerating some type of behavior, or you're, making excuses for others, you got to narrow down how did you contribute to the miss, right? And make a fair assessment of it. And then for those that have gone through the course and seen the Blue Angel video, I made this mistake and I'll fix it.
Right.
So what are you going to do differently going forward to prevent us being late on a shipment, or us having some quality escapes, or, somebody got hurt last night. Right. Why'd they get hurt? So, it's that piece that I own. The other part about the debrief that's important is that everybody on the team's got to be mature enough to understand that this is about us getting better.
Right.
So, hey, I made these mistakes. This is what I'm going to try to do better in the future. What do you have? What else could I do? What else? What did I do, Tom, that made it hard for you to get that shipment out on time?
So you would say it's not about finding fault. It's about finding solutions.
Right. It's the what, right? We always talk about it's the what.
Right.
But I'm going to start with me, and then we can go around, and ideally I'll go to you, Tom. What could you have done better that would have helped us, and what can we all do to help you do a better job next time?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's hard. These initial debrief, everybody thinks it's a cover your backside session.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if we all go into the room and go, well, it wasn't my fault. So, well, what's going to be different next time? Or are we just going to be late again? Or are we just going to have another quality escape Or are we going to have another person slip and fall and break their elbow in an area that we know routinely has a high amount of oil on the floor? We're just
Right.
going to let it happen again.
True.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, Hatch, I called you Cruiser. Don't tell him I told him that I did
that. I mean, you can't imagine how bad that hurt. Probably the low point of my day.
You guys are a team, and I want to bring him into the fold just for a split second. So, hey, Hatch, we really appreciate the incredible work that you guys are doing. We have graduated since 2007, over 400 graduates, about 240 in your tenure here. And you guys are helping us really build the next level of leaders in the MTI and for the future of the center. So I appreciate you and Cruiser doing what y'all do for us.
Hey, it's our pleasure. We enjoy being part of the MTI family, and we look forward to being around for a long time.
Well, we're excited. The 2019 class is already closed because it is full with 32 students. It sold out faster than ever, so we're excited about that. Members listening here, we appreciate your time. Remember, it is chaos out there. It is moving fast and furious, and MTI here is to be your #1 source. Read our weekly emails, read our social media posts, read our newsletter, because it's all about creating automation, artificial intelligence, robotics, everything we can help you, because we're in a labor shortage, as we always talk about. We want to see you be dynamically successful in the next 10 years, because the 20s of this century, if you look at everything, is going to be the most growth that we've ever seen in our economy, and you want to take advantage of that, in my opinion. So whatever we can do for you, you let us know. And just remember, you're not strong. You are MTI strong, my friends. Y'all have a great day, and thank you for your time.